How do you know if your website's been hacked? And what's the impact of having a website that has been hacked? How does that affect you and your business and your reputation online? Hi, my name's Duncan from 65. We help our clients with everything WordPress and website related. And in this video, we're going to talk about an experience that we had recently with a client who had a website that was hacked, how we learnt more about it, and what we went about to do fixing it. The biggest part of this story really is about what online malware scanners actually work, how they work, and which ones are going to be the best for you. So a bit of background here. This website was hosted elsewhere. It was not under our control at the time. And the reason that the client came about finding out that their website had been compromised and had a hack on it was because their email delivery was being affected. So what that means is they were sending an email to a particular company, and that company was rejecting their email because they were seeing that their website was compromised and hacked. Now, obviously, anyone that's receiving email, any email transport provider like Gmail or Microsoft and so forth, all want to make sure that their users are not clicking on links which are going to lead them to sites where there's phishing or social engineering, anything that's fake, anything that has a virus and so forth on it. So if you didn't know that already, your website being up to date, working well, and actually existing has a big effect on your email deliverability as well. So at the time, the client came to us and said, we don't know what's going on. We don't understand why our website has been hacked. And we've done a scan on this, and it tells us that it's not been hacked and it's not blacklisted or anything else. So with a screenshot on screen, it comes from a popular malware scanner that you will find online. As they quite rightly point out, every online malware scanner has its limitations. It can't see everything. It can't see what's going on behind what the public see. But one of the good things about online scanners is they can review your site just like Google or a human would as well. So we have changed the screenshot to protect the innocent. And as you can see, this scanner that they were using came back to us and it said, there is no malware here. It is clean. So what do we do next? Well, we put one of our tools over it. And at this point, we still didn't have access to the hosting. And when we scanned that tool, so when we scanned that website, we found something quite different. Our system told us that this site had malicious content on it. Now, that rolled out into a number of malicious files that were on the site. We discovered and confirmed that the website was indeed compromised. And in the process of bringing that across under our hosting, we were able to gather more information about it and indeed fix the infection. So the question here is, well, what could have been done differently to stop this from happening in the first place? Well, in order to answer that, we need to know a little bit more about these scanners and how they work. So like I mentioned, the online scanners that you might find will only be able to scan the site like the way a human would see a site or the way Google would see the site. Now that's all very well, but of course if the infection is actually a little bit complex and a little bit smart, they will know that when one of these scanners comes and visits the site, they'll know how to detect that and hide it in that process. So the next thing you might think is, okay, well, let's install a scanner into my website, and that will sit there and it will stop these things occurring. It will stop the infection and it will keep those issues at bay. Now, there are plenty of those available, and as you can see, I'm on the WordPress plugin directory here, and we've got WordFence and CleanTalk and Jetpack and Security and so on and so forth. Now, these are all well and good. There are a couple of issues that we have with these particular plugin-based scanners. Now, the first one is that it relies on WordPress itself to be working well. This is a plugin that sits inside of WordPress. So if WordPress isn't working or configured correctly, well, it's hard to see how that scanner is going to work correctly as well. These also rely on the site having traffic and or a timed process being run on the site in order to trigger the scans and all the rest of it. Now, of course, these are all written in PHP. That's the language that sits underneath WordPress. And so therefore, if a hacker does manage to get an infection in onto the site, well, guess what? They can easily manipulate that code and change it to pretend like they're not there as well. So really, the best form of defense is actually one that is outside of WordPress and is installed on your server. Something that's not written in PHP, that doesn't rely on WordPress working correctly or not working correctly in order for it to fire and see that information. Now, in our hosting stack, we use a tool by a company called We Watch Your Website. And what it does is, first of all, it's written in a completely different language to PHP, which means it cannot be tampered. It's a compiled language called C, and it can't be tampered with. So it sits there on the server and it runs outside of the web server, outside of WordPress, and it takes all of the information that it has and it pushes it off to an external server for analysis. And again, this means that that information can't be tampered with when it gets off the server, and thus the detection and understanding of where that issue came from is much, much more reliable. So, is that to say that any of these malware scanners are of no use? No, that's not the truth at all. What we're saying is that you can't rely on these 100%. They will not protect your website, guaranteed 100%. And that's why where you subscribe to these tools, they will then also say to you, yep, it's all right. If it does get infected, we will come and fix it for you. They will put a hack fix guarantee in there as well. Now, that is not the best defense. The best defense is to make sure that your website is secure in the first place, and that means you need to be paying for quality hosting that is managed and is tightly and well configured. And then the second part of that is you've got to have good data hygiene. So making sure that you're keeping your plugins and your theme and your website up to date. Ensuring that your administrators are using passwords that are not reused on other servers or other sites. That you have two-factor authentication where you have an administrative login, for example, and other sensible cybersecurity measures like that. Now, if you found this information useful, I'd love it if you could like and subscribe this video. And if you want some help with your WordPress website, feel free to reach out to us at 65.io. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.